So welcome back guys. Here in this section, right, we are just continuing our immunization program. So in the last section only we have talked about the national immunization schedule, right? We have expanded that what are the vaccines which we are, giving to the child at different time of, at different timeline basically. And we had to talk about the types of vaccine where we have talked about the live attenuated vaccine or the killed or inactivated vaccines or the protein vaccine, toxoid vaccines, or all of these kind of things, right? Recombinant and all these kind. So in this particular portion, I will be talking about yet another important session, guys. This is about the open vial policy and the cold chain, right? So we'll be talking about the open vial policy. We will be talking about the cold chain, then the reverse cold chain, right? And at last we'll be summarizing it with some of the side effects which shall be seen after giving some vaccines, right? The vaccines which we have already talked about in the previous section, we will be talking about some of the side effects regarding that vaccines, right? Different vaccines. So over here, let's start with the, this is the OVP I am writing over here. This is not the OPV which you have studied in the last one, that was the bivalent oral polio vaccine, right? But here this is the open vial policy, so this is the OVP I am writing simply, right? So OVP, guys, if we talk about oral, this is not the oral, this is the open vial policy. Open vial policy, please do not confuse, right? No confusion at all. So here, guys, we are having some vaccines, we are using some vaccines which shall be given till 4 weeks. So what are these vaccines which I am talking over here? So let's talk about them. So for example, you shall be giving the inactivated polio vaccine, you shall be giving the PCV, that is a pneumococcal vaccine, you shall be giving the hepatitis B vaccine, yes, HepB vaccine, then the oral polio vaccine, then the tetanus toxoid vaccine, right? DPT vaccine and the pentavalent vaccine. These are some vaccines which you shall be giving them till 4 weeks. Till 4 weeks of time you shall be giving it after opening. But remember, these how many vaccines I told you? 7 vaccines. These 7 vaccines can be given till 4 weeks, providing that you are storing them at adequate temperature, right? And you are not merging them in water. Providing these two conditions, if you are following these conditions, right, then probably you shall be using them till 4 weeks, these 7 vaccines, right? Okay, so these 7 vaccines shall be used, these 7 vaccines, right, shall be used even after opening of their ampules, even after opening of their ampules. Even after opening of ampules, till 4 weeks you shall be giving them, providing that you are not merging them in water and you are storing them at adequate temperature. If you are following these conditions, then you shall be using them till 4 weeks, these particular vaccine. This is according to the open vial policy, right? So after opening the vial, you shall be using it for how long? So that is till 4 weeks. One more thing, guys, I want to introduce over here. So one more thing, guys, I'm just writing this only, that conditions are conditions which I told you. What are the conditions? Right, it should not merge in water, no merging in water, right, and should be stored at adequate temperature, right? Now we shall be having some stickers, right? We shall be having this vial monitor, right? Vial monitor shall be present over there on the vials. Some of these stickers can be present on the neck of the vial, right? Some of them can be present on the top of the vial, at the cap of the vial. Some of them can be present at the middle of the vial, right, where at the bottle, right? So what does these indicators shows? The color, usually they are having, how it is, usually they are actually square, and in the center of that square, usually there is a circle, and at center of the circle there is a square. At the center of the circle there is a square, right? Now this square should be visible whitish in color. The more white in color, the more fresh this particular vial is, right? And with time it is actually fading in color. With time it is fading in color. So after some time it will be looking like this. Still you shall be using this vaccine, because still you can see that there is a circle, and inside the circle there is a square. You can see that. But after some time, as I said, that this square will be actually vanishing with time. So in this one you can't see that where is the square. In the center of the circle we can't see the square over here. So we shall not be using it now anymore. We should be discarding this particular vial, right? We should be discarding in this particular vial. And where you will be discarding it according to the biomedical waste management? You will be discarding it in the blue category. You shall be discarding it in the blue category. I told you that glass ampoules and all, glass vials and all, they should be discarded in the blue color category according to the biomedical waste management, right? And if inside the circle there is a square, but that is darker in color, as compared to the circle, right, then also it shall not be used. It must be discarded into the blue category according to the BMW, guys. Over here, that is the purpose of telling you all of these things, because that is very, very important. And in the exams, they are telling you very, very important thing. They will be giving you the bottle, right? They will be giving the bottle, and on the bottle there will be this sticker present over there. You should be remembering. They will be simply asking you whether you can use it or not, right? So different options will be given over here. So you shall be using it at that point of time, this point of time, or after some time, or this and that. You should not be using if these options are coming in your exam. So please remember that, right? So what they are saying over here, let's read about that as well. They are saying that inner square, if it is lighter than the outer ring, if the expiry date has not been passed, obviously you will be seeing the expiry date, use the vaccine. Simply use the vaccine, no problem with that. If still at a later time, inner square is still lighter than the outer ring, if the expiry date has not been passed, still you can use the vaccine. Right? But if you can't see the square in the outer ring, then this is the sign where you should understand that now I should not be using this vaccine. Simply discard this vaccine, right? So discard point, this is called as a discard point, where inner square matches the color of the outer ring, and at this point of time you shall not be using this vaccine. Do not use the vaccine, rather discard the vaccine. Okay, if beyond the discard point, inner square is rather darker than the outer ring, right? Usually, according to the rule, according to the open vial policy, it should be lighter than the outer ring. But if it is darker than the outer ring, then also it is the indicator that you should be discarding it, rather of using it, you should be discarding this vaccine, right? So that is also the discarding. So what is the discard point? Where the color is matching, the outer ring and the inner square color is matching, at that point of time you should be discarding the vaccine. This is the discard point. Okay guys, once we have talked about that, now we shall be talking about the cold chain. Now we shall be moving on to the cold chain, right? This is not something that there is a chain and that is cold, keeping in the refrigerator and all of these things. That is not the thing. But here we are using the refrigerator, that is true, but we are using the refrigerator for storing the vaccines, right? So let's talk about this one. So we shall be having different kinds of freezer over there and all. So the very first one which I'm going to talk about over here, right, that is the walk-in freezer. That will be the walk-in freezer, right? Yes, these are the bigger freezers that can be used at state level, and the district level hospitals, at the state and district level, right? Walk-in freezer can be used at state level and the district level. Here, what will be the temperature we shall be talking about, right? So the temperature which we are using over here, that is the -15 to -25 degree Celsius temperature we are using in the walk-in freezer, right? Second point over here, they are lined with the polyurethane, right? They are lined with the polyurethane. So polyurethane lined cooling area is there, right? Polyurethane lined cooling area is present over there, right? Cooling area, right? What are the uses? Why will we be using this walk-in freezer that is very cold? That is very cold over here. So walk-in freezer, we shall be using it. The purpose is that we shall be using the ice pack for storing the vaccines, right? So we want to produce the ice pack. So for the ice pack purpose, for preparation of ice pack, right? We are using this, right? It maintains the vaccine at +2 to +8 degrees Celsius. Ice pack, what is the function of the ice pack? It is maintaining the temperature, that is +2 to +8 degree Celsius, maintaining the temperature +2 to +8 degree Celsius for the vaccine storage purpose, right? Okay. Next point over here is that you shall be using it for the storage of the vaccine simply. So you shall be using it for the storage of the vaccine. Okay. Right. Then we have talked about what? We have talked about the walk-in freezer. We have talked about the walk-in freezer. Now second one which we shall talk about, I will be talking about this diagram over here. I will be coming to this diagram right later on, but let me talk about the other points over here. Second one, right? Second one is the, right, what is the second one over here which we shall use over here? That is a walk-in cooler. So walk-in cooler. So first one was the walk-in freezer, this is the walk-in cooler. Now what is the speciality of the walk-in cooler over here? Walk-in cooler can be used at district and the sub-district level. So it can be used at district and sub-district level, right? Okay, so here we are using the temperature over here which we are using, that is the +2 to +8 degrees Celsius, +2 to +8 degrees Celsius, okay, no confusion. Here they are also made up of polyurethane lined cooling area, right? So the lining over here inside, that is the polyurethane lined cooling area, that has been asked earlier, so that's why I'm just mentioning over here. And the uses which we shall talk about over here, that is the storage of vaccine. Uses will be the storage of vaccine, okay, that will be the use of this particular thing, right? Okay, so next one which we shall talk about over here, that is the deep freezer. That is the deep freezer, right? Deep freezer, yes. So in the deep freezer, if you talk about, again guys, it can be used for the district and the sub-district level. So it shall be used for at district and sub-district level. It shall be used for district and sub-district level, right? So here we are talking about the temperature that is very, very cold, that is the -15 to, again, -15 to -25 degrees Celsius. That will be the temperature which we are maintaining for the deep freezer, right? And here again the purpose is the storage of the vaccine. So purpose over here, the use if you talk about will be the storage of vaccine. Use will be simple, storage of vaccine, okay. That the next one which we shall talk about over here, that is the ice lined refrigerator. Ice lined refrigerator, okay. It shall be used at PHC level, CHC level, or the district level hospitals. So it shall be used at PHC level, CHC level, or the district level, okay. So that shall be used at this level, right? So temperature if we talk about over here, that is +2 to +8 degree Celsius temperature we are using over here. +2 to +8 degrees Celsius temperature we are using over here, and we are using an important measurement tool, that is the dial thermometer. Dial thermometer is present in the ice refrigerator, I mean the ice lined refrigerator, right? So here it is present in ILR, ice lined refrigerator. So dial thermometer will be present over here, right? Next point over here which we shall mention, that what are the uses for this purpose, for this ice lined refrigerator. So uses will be the transportation. So transportation of the vaccine to the site. Uses will be the transportation of the vaccine. Till now I was talking about the storage of the vaccine. In the ice lined refrigerator I am talking about the transportation of the vaccine, right? So transportation of the vaccine shall be done using the ice lined refrigerator, right? So for this purpose we are using two things. One is the vaccine carrier, and another one is the day carrier. Right? For the vaccine carrier if we talk about, guys, here we are using the 4 ice packs. We are using the 4 ice packs for the vaccine carrier, right? And here we are simply storing the 16 to 20 ampules. If we talk about the day carrier, here we are using the 2 ice packs. Right? And here 6 to 8 ampules might be stored. So what is the function of ice lined refrigerator? Simply transportation of the vaccines. We are having the two important things over here. One is the vaccine carrier, one is the day carrier. In the day carrier, how many vaccines we shall be storing over here? 6 to 8 ampules. Why is it so? Because we are carrying the 2 ice packs only. And because we are storing the more ice packs, that is in the vaccine carrier, that is the 4 ice packs, here we shall be storing it for 16 to 20 ampules. If we want to give a for bigger program, if we are taking the vaccines, then 16 to 20 ampules shall be carried with the help of 4 ice packs, that is the vaccine carrier, and day carrier might be used for the simple smaller camps, right? So that is the purpose of using the ice lined refrigerator. This is the diagram which you shall be remembering for the ice lined refrigerator. Okay, so let's talk about this particular diagram as well, right? So here what we shall talk about in this particular diagram, that we can see this is the Iceland refrigerator. Yes, sometimes you shall be seeing this while buying the ice creams and all of those things, that they will be keeping the ice cream under this Iceland refrigerator. So deeper will be the freezer, the more colder will be the ice cream. So usually you will be preferring that ice cream which will be presenting at deep inside this refrigerator, because that will be more colder. So basically same concept will be using it over here as well. So those vaccines which are heat sensitive, so if they are heat sensitive, then we will be keeping it in a cooler area. So we will be keeping it in a deeper area in the Iceland refrigerator. So this area, if you are seeing over here, this area, right? So I will be using a rather different color over here. This area comparatively, if we talk about, so basically this area will be the colder area. So for heat sensitive vaccines, those vaccines which are heat sensitive vaccines, we will be keeping them in this area, that is the deep area, right? So here we will be storing the heat sensitive vaccines. So better to use them, better to keep them in the colder area. So heat sensitive vaccines, we shall be using it over here, right? So this area will be the more cooler area, right? Okay, cooler area, and this area will be the less cool as compared to deeper area. It will be the comparatively less cooler area. So it will be the less cooler area and it will be the more cooler area, right? We shall be using it like that. Both the areas are cold only, but if you comparatively talk about, then more colder will be the deeper one and as compared to the upper one, right? So lower one will be the more colder as compared to the lower one, right? So upper, if you talk about the cooler area, right, upper one we shall be talking about, which vaccine we shall be storing it, that will be the cold sensitive vaccines, right? So in the upper area we shall be keeping the cold sensitive vaccines, right? So these are the vaccines which are present over there. You shall be seeing that these vaccines are the basically cold sensitive, and these are the heat sensitive vaccines which we are keeping it accordingly, right? Okay, so once we have talked about that, now we shall be talking about the reverse cold chain. Once we have talked about the cold chain, now we shall be talking about the reverse cold chain. So what is the reverse cold chain? What is the reverse cold chain, right? If we talk about the reverse cold chain, what we were doing in the cold chain, we were doing in the cold chain, we are having the vaccines, we are storing them, we are transporting the vaccines, right, to the people, so that we shall be giving it to the people, we shall be administering it to the people rather in the camp or in the hospital, right? Now what we'll be doing from the patient side, if the patient will be returning that thing to you, right, then it will be called as a reverse cold chain, right? So in the reverse cold chain, for example, the patient is giving the urine sample, the patient is giving the stool sample from the village coming to the lab, right? That is called as a reverse cold chain, right? If you're giving something to the patient, then it is a cold chain, and if you're giving the patient is returning something back to you, then it will be the reverse cold chain. So reverse cold chain is simply, for example, it is to transfer the sample, for example, to transfer the urine sample, right? Urine sample from patient to the from patient or from village to the lab, okay, to the laboratory. So that is the thing over here, right? The temperature which we shall be maintaining over here, that will be the +4 to +8 degree Celsius. Please, very very important. Okay, so this temperature will be maintaining over here, right? Now we shall be talking about some of the adverse effects, right? Some of the adverse effects following immunization, right? Following immunization. So AEFI in short, I shall be talking about the AEFI in short, right? So adverse effects following immunization, right? So if we talk about the adverse effects following immunization, we will be talking about some of the vaccines over here, right? For example, right, on one side I shall be talking about the vaccine. So here I am just writing, this is on this side I am talking about the vaccine, and on this side I am talking about the side effects or adverse effects, whatever you want to call it, okay? So in the very first place, let's talk about the MMR vaccine, right? Measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, right? MMR vaccine. What could be the side effects, right? So if we talk about the side effects guide, it shall be showing the thrombocytopenia in some patients, right? It might be causing the anaphylactic shock in some patients, right? It might be causing mainly the measles component might be causing the subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, right? SSPE is subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, right? That can be the case over here. So mainly for about it is not that common if you talk about, but mainly it is caused by the measles component, right? So in the measles also I have talked about this SSPE, subacute sclerosing panencephalititis is a complication or a side effect as far as measles component is concerned, right? Okay, these are the side effects for the MMR vaccine, right? Next one which we shall talk about, that is what about the hepatitis B. Hepatitis B might be causing in some patient lymphadenitis, okay, or in some patient it might be causing the osteomyelitis, mainly in the older age patients and all, right? Not in the older age patient, osteomyelitis can be seen in the younger age group particularly, because in the vaccine if you talk about, we are giving in the younger age group only. So hepatitis B, right? Then if we talk about third one, we shall be talking about the BCG vaccine, right? BCG vaccine, and BCG vaccine if we talk about, then we shall be talking about lymphadenitis, osteomyelitis, same. Rather I would recommend you to remember this, right? Lymphadenitis and osteomyelitis for the BCG, right? We shall be remembering it for the BCG. And for the hepatitis B, usually there are not much side effects. For the hepatitis B, you just remember that some patient might be reacting to it, so anaphylaxis might be shown to them. So anaphylactic shock, you shall be remembering anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock. Anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock might be the complication. Now, if you talk about the anaphylaxis, can be shown from any vaccine, right? But usually hepatitis B vaccine is pretty safe, and commonly it is not showing any kind of adverse effect or side effects, right? Then we shall be talking about the next one, that is the OPV, oral polio vaccine, right? OPV. Oral polio vaccine might be causing in some patient paralysis, right? Now these paralysis might be of two types. This paralysis might be of two types. One could be the vaccine associated paralytic paralysis, VAPP, that is the vaccine associated paralytic paralysis, and one could be the VDPP, that is the vaccine derived paralytic polio, right? Vaccine associated paralytic polio and vaccine derived paralytic polio, right? So these are the two types over here which shall be caused by the oral polio vaccine, right? Next one we shall talk about over here, that will be the DPT vaccine, right? So with the DPT vaccine, usually the pertussis component is causing the problem sometimes, as I have talked about that previously as well. So it might be causing the fever in few patients, right? And mainly because of the pertussis component, right? Mainly because of pertussis component, some patient might be having the fever. Some patient might be having the neurological deficit also. Some patient might be complaining of neurological deficit, right? So prolonged crying will be seen for the babies, right? For 3 to 5 hours the baby might be crying only, right? So that is the neurological deficit. So it is not known exactly that what is the thing which it is disturbing upon the babies, right? So that's why in the cerebral palsy cases or in the epilepsy cases we shall not be giving it. So contraindicated in the cerebral, right? So I shall be writing at this point that it will be contraindicated in the cases of cerebral palsy or the epilepsy, right? Or in any kind of neurological deficit, we shall be preventing ourselves to provide the pertussis vaccine, to provide the DPT vaccine in those cases. So cerebral palsy or the some kind of epilepsy, neurological deficit, okay, in those kind of cases we shall be preventing ourselves to give this vaccine, because it shall be causing the problem. Prolonged cry will be seeing in the babies, in few babies, right? Not in the everyone obviously, right? So these are some of the things, some of the side effects as far as different kinds of vaccines are there, right? Some of the salient points, guys, which I would like to make over here, the most heat resistant vaccine is which vaccine? That is the tetanus toxoid vaccine. Most heat resistant vaccine, right? This is the TT vaccine. Okay. Then minimum gap between the two doses of live attenuated vaccine, usually it is day 0, right? So if you are giving the live attenuated vaccine, they are usually, if you talk about the gap, usually it is a 0 gap. But if you talk about the yellow fever and the cholera, right? Yellow fever and the cholera, minimum 3 gaps we need to maintain, right? And if you talk about the live vaccines, guys, they are contraindicated in the immunocompromised patients, or let's say some patient is having the let's say some patient is having the HIV, or some patient is having some other kind of disease, that is an immunocompromised patient, or in the pregnancy. The live attenuated vaccines are contraindicated in those cases. But if you talk about the yellow fever vaccine, that is also the live attenuated vaccine, And I told you this previously as well. If she is pregnant, usually we should not give it, but if she want to travel, then we should be giving it. We must be giving the yellow fever vaccine to the pregnancy if she wants to visit or if she wants to travel, right? So that is the thing over here in the endemic country, if she wants to travel, right? So that is the thing over here. So please remember that this point I shall be remembering over here. I shall be writing over here that live attenuated vaccines are, and this has been asked n number of times, live attenuated vaccines are contraindicated in the pregnancy, that is the first point, right? And the immunocompromised patients, compromised patients. Okay, so please do remember that. Very important points. This is the MCQ, guys. So over here we shall be remembering that it should not be given, the live attenuated vaccine should not be given in the pregnancy and the immunocompromised patient. So these were some salient points about the vaccine adverse effects, and we have talked about the open vial policy, we have talked about the cold chain, and we have talked about the reverse cold chain, right? So please do remember these three topics. Very important, very easy at the same time. So please go through it, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Thank you.